Hey there, and welcome to What's the Story. We're an inquisitive bunch of hosts from the What's the Story team on a mission to uncover stories about faith and courage from everyday people. In doing that, we get the privilege of chatting with amazing guests and have the opportunity to delve into their faith journey, the hurdles they've overcome, and the life lessons they have learned along the way. If you enjoy our podcast, don't forget to subscribe and sign up for our weekly newsletter at our website, whatsthestorypodcast.com. It's your direct line to the latest episodes and detailed show notes delivered straight into your inbox. And the best part, it's totally free. What's the Story is brought to you by Crowd Church, who fully understand that stepping into a traditional church might not be everyone's cup of joe. Crowd Church provides a digital sanctuary, a safe space to explore the Christian faith where you can engage in meaningful conversations rather than just simply spectating. So whether you're new to the Christian faith or in search of a new church family, visit crowd.church. And if you have any questions at all, just drop them an email, hello@crowd.church. They would love to connect with you. And now let's meet your host and our special guest for today.
So today we are excited to introduce to you Christa Spaeth, the heart and soul behind Christa Joy Ministries. It was on a typical day in 2022 when Christa, in the stillness of a little prayer cabin known as Whisper, felt a stirring call from God, prompting her to pen down a 7-week devotional called Powerful Whispers. And I have a copy and it is wonderful, let me tell you. And from that moment, Christa's heart became tuned in to hear more of God's whispers, guiding her to a renewed sense of purpose to bring healing, comfort, and share the unfathomable love of Christ. Now, Christa is not just a regular wife, mother of 2, or a successful businesswoman. Oh no, she is ignited with a burning passion to walk in the rhythm of God's plan each and every day. Back in 2022, she took a bold step, bidding goodbye to her long-standing career as a registered dietitian at a high-profile food manufacturing company. And it wasn't an easy step, let me tell you, but it was a step of faith, one that led her closer to the purpose God had for her, which is basically to encourage others through Christ. Christa, great to have you on the podcast. Thank you for joining me. How are you doing today?
I'm so wonderful, Matt. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry, got a little frog in my throat, but I'm proud to be here today and chat with you and all your lovely listeners.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you. It is great to have you. And it's funny, isn't it, when your voice does that, and it does that, you sort of been sat there and then your voice just goes funny because you've been we were chatting before we hit the record button and so discussing whether or not, whether or not there's going to be a few curveballs in the conversation that's about to happen. But hopefully not. Now, whereabouts in the world are you at the moment, Christa?
So I'm in Minnesota in the United States, so smack dab in the middle of the United States, the northern part. We have a lot of snow up here, but hey, it's the middle of summer right now. Beautiful. Love the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of lakes here, so it is a pretty state.
Yeah. It's a very pretty part of the world, isn't it? But is it crazy heat for you at the moment like it is here in the UK?
This week is pretty hot. I think it's in, maybe the 90s every day this week. It's unusual for us, especially.
Yeah. Well, it's the same in England. But everyone's looking at the sky every day going, my goodness, what's going on here? Now, in 2022, I think it was said in the bio, didn't it? Was when you sort of stopped your life as a registered dietitian and you decided to sort of go into what Christians like to call full-time ministry. And you started your ministry. But before we get into that, what was life like as a registered dietitian? I'm kind of curious to know what the day-to-day was, because you were a registered dietitian for a while, right?
Yes. I had 2 different corporate jobs in my life. But for 24 years, I was at a large food manufacturing company. Really an unusual role for dietitians. I got to work in the test kitchen. So
you got to work in a
test kitchen. So
a test kitchen. Sorry. Yeah.
It's, basically I got paid to eat. It really wasn't a lovely job. I had a lovely team. There was chefs that worked in the kitchen and all sorts of culinary foodies. So my specialty was focusing on cheese. So I worked with K-12 schools around the country, and we developed recipes using yummy cheese. And
Oh, wow.
delightful.
Wow. That sounds almost like the ideal job. Just cheese, just trying different cheeses from around the world and different crackers and biscuits that you could do that. Oh,
So the extra fun part is my counterparts worked with butter. And so I know this is bad, but I do have a big sweet tooth as a dietitian. So they would make cookies at like 9:00 in the morning and brownies. And it was hard,
yeah.
so I didn't usually pass them up either. I had to take a nibble or two.
Yeah, why would you not, right? When there's that much on the plate. I mean, I'm totally with you. So how long were you a dietitian for?
26 years.
Wow.
Had a position, yes, as dietetics. I took the route of food service. So for dietitians, half of the dietitian go in clinical and work in like clinics and hospitals, and the other half of the dietitians go in food service. And food was my passion from the beginning. So it just made perfect sense to go down this route. And
Yeah.
I love to play in the kitchen.
No doubt. I like to play in my barbecue pit. I'm not a kitchen fan. I have an outdoor kitchen with a barbecue, and I love prepping and cooking food in that. But inside, I don't know if it must be a mental thing. I'm just not a fan at all.
Well, I do leave the grilling at home to my husband. So I understand.
Can someone explain to me how that works? Men just need fire, apparently, to cook. Gas is not enough, or electricity. No, we need fire. What was the? I love the fact I'm talking to a dietitian, so I'm just going to riff off this for a little minute, Christa, if that's okay. What are some of the most surprising things about food that you discovered as a dietitian that maybe we don't think about, certainly in the West, when it comes to our food?
Oh, that's a big question. I don't even know how to answer that. What do we think about? I don't know what the rest of the world doesn't think about, because I think about food a lot. So, well, how about this? I am finding that many people don't realize how easy it is to put a meal together.
Mm.
So there's barriers, like you're saying. You're really comfortable out at the grill,
mm-hmm.
and not so much in the kitchen. So what I've been doing, so I have two boys, 18 and 22. My 22-year-old is an amazing baker and is not afraid of getting dirty in the kitchen and makes, amazing steaks and all sorts of lovely things. Whereas my younger son was always like, oh, you guys do the kitchen. I'll just... So now that he's going to be moving away, I'm like, okay, we need to build up some skills so you don't eat out for every meal or just have cheese quesadillas. So showing him really how simple it is to put a few ingredients together, and voila, you have an amazing, simple dish.
Yeah.
That tastes good.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Because it's probably not until I've just turned 50, and it probably wasn't until in my, I guess, 30s, mid-30s, early 40s that I really started to get interested in grilling. And so I managed to escape most of my life without really being interested in cooking. So I fully empathize with your younger son. What's interesting to me, actually, is I'm actually, at the time of recording, I'm prepping a talk, which we're going to do in the church, on breaking bread together, this idea of a shared meal. And eating together as a family is one of those things we're doing less and less as a society. But it has the most profound thing. It's the most profound impact on our relationships, and it seems to be very biblical. Jesus seems to have a lot of meals with a lot of people, and I do a lot of talks when you pastor a church, but this particular talk is probably one of the most interesting ones that I've done for a while, if I'm honest with you. And I don't know if it's because it's around food again.
I love it. So interesting you mentioned that, because my younger son, who does tend to be more introverted like me, he actually said this last year how much he appreciates that we have family dinner together. And he's realizing the older that he gets, how rare that is among his friend group. He said, they just go and sit and watch TV while they're eating, or go in their bedroom. and they're not even together, but he values like the conversation, like, how was your day?
Yeah.
And, nothing super deep and philosophical, but just talking about life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a scientific study I've discovered here, Christa, which tells me that you are 30% less likely to get divorced if you sit down and have a family meal around the table with no screen. So not in front of the TV, not with mobile phones at the table, but just sitting and having a conversation. There is a 30% chance or a 30% reduction in the divorce rate, which is quite an interesting stat when you think about it. I mean, it's quite a significant number.
That is significant. Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
More
I love the
reason-
fact your son's picked up on it as well. I just like sitting around talking. It's wonderful, actually. It's wonderful.
And
Well-
it brought it to my eye. I was like, oh, I'm glad you noticed and you care.
I bet it did. Fantastic. So, I mean, as much as I'd love to spend the whole time talking about food, I feel like we should probably move on a little bit. So let's just give the audience a little bit of a backstory to yourself. What was your Christian journey? How did you become a Christian, or were you sort of born a Christian?
I do feel like I was born a Christian. I was raised in a Christian home. Both of my parents went to Bible school, so talking about God and Jesus was just part of our everyday life. I did give my heart to Jesus at the age of 4, so very young. I was able to go to a small private Christian school all the way up till graduation. So I was very immersed in my dad was in full-time ministry, and he had a lot of his friends were missionaries around the world. So being a Christian was really part of my upbringing.
So you grew up as a Christian, but then something happened sort of around the COVID time from memory.
Yes, that's so true. So it's kind of amazing to me, and I am kind of shocked to say this too, that being a Christian and being with Christians my whole entire life, and not knowing until 2020 that God actually speaks to Christians, to every Christian, if you are willing to pause and listen. It was mind blowing. And I was like, why didn't I know that? I thought that pastors would hear from God, missionaries maybe, but like an ordinary person like me, I didn't know that. As much as I memorized the Bible before, I hadn't let it sink in to be that I am worthy to hear God and know him so much more than I had before.
That's super powerful, isn't it? I mean, to go that far in your Christian journey and to not know that, it's quite an extraordinary thing, isn't it? You kind of go, oh my goodness. Sort of fundamental, I suppose, to a relationship is communication, isn't it? And so it is fascinating. And I do remember myself, that sort of phase where you go, actually, no, I can recognize when God's speaking. It's not always the same way. There's like 25 different thousand ways it seems that God likes to talk. But I can recognize when the Holy Spirit is trying to say something. So what happened in 2022 then? What was the event that caused this Damascus Road experience, for want of a better expression?
So it was really in 2020 when the world was shut down that I ran after Jesus way more than I ever had before. So I didn't have a commute. It was 45 minutes that I saved in the morning. So I decided to dedicate that time to Jesus and to praying and reading the Bible way more. It was not a check the box, task to do. Truly, so much of it was like fear, like what is going on? This is crazy stuff that's happening all around the world. So through my journey of 2020, I continue to seek after, like, okay, God, I know that there's more that you have for me. What is that? So not only did I read the Bible more, I intentionally joined small groups. I don't know if that's a term that's outside the United States, like online Bible studies. And got to know more people that were also hearing from God and had that wonderful community of other believers that were running after Jesus together. And my faith grew, hearing their testimonies and praying with them. And so throughout 2020 and 2021, God just started speaking to me in all sorts of new ways. I mean, really, again, for the first time, that I had paid attention that was him and not just, thinking it was me making things up in my head. So it was October of 2021 that the Lord woke me up in the middle of the night and he said to help the hurting. It was so powerful. My whole body was shaking. I knew it was from the Lord. And I also knew that it was, okay, now is my time to leave my corporate job. It was truly something that I had desired for probably 5 years, that I wanted to do something more for God. I mean, my parents were both in ministry. And so it just seemed like, okay, I want to do more. So it was my heart's desire to do something else. And I knew that was the right time and day. So that day I gave my notice, and gave them 2+ months notice, hired my replacement, and stepped out on my own in January of 2022 to start my full-time ministry. But I didn't know what I was going to do when I left my job. I also just had this knowing that I wasn't going to know until I left. So it was a huge leap of faith, and I was scared. Really, my stomach was in knots going, did I hear God right? This is crazy.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to the world. But I knew, and it was the day after I left my job that I had peace. It was wonderful.
But it is. I mean, there's a lot there, Christa, and let's dig into that a little bit, because a couple of things that you mentioned. One was this the fact that you were scared. Had you misheard God? Had you heard God right? Because I think that's something that every Christian struggles with, right? It's something that we all go through. Is like, God, have I heard you right here? I feel like I'm taking a big risk, or something is happening that is not quite in line with what I feel like you've told me. So am I crazy, or did I hear right in the first place? So how did you wrestle with those questions, and how do you still wrestle with them, I suppose?
That's a great question. Did a lot of praying. It was wonderful that my husband is a Christian as well, and he hears from God in a different way than I do. But he also had this knowing, like, this was the right time. So to have the support, the physical support, that he believed in what I heard from God, and of course what he heard from God, is like, okay, yes, this is scary, but it's the right thing to do. I leaned a lot on my girlfriends, who were great prayer supporters. And truly, there was many, many moments in those 8.5 weeks where I'm like, okay, maybe I should say I'm going to stay. I mean, it was scary. I was the breadwinner. So it was a extra big leap of faith. But I continued to believe what I had heard. And I had taken notes over 2 years of what I had heard God speaking to my heart. So I knew that this is what God wanted me to do. Yeah.
And I think that's so wise, in the sense that it doesn't sound like it was a rash decision or a rushed decision. I mean, when you tell the story, it's like, I heard God and then I quit my job. But actually there's an intervening period, and there's a history here.
Absolutely.
Which seems, because, quite often Christians, myself included, Christa, it has to be said, feel like we've heard God and we just want to charge at 1,000 miles an hour at what we've just heard. And actually, sometimes it's quite handy just to not do that, and just spend a little bit of time weighing it up, praying, see what God says. But I love the fact that you and your husband were committed to this together. That's always a good sign. I tend to think that if Sharon, my wife, and I aren't agreed on something, then that we have to get that agreement, I think, before stepping out. in whatever form. And we've always managed to do that in our marriage, which has been fantastic and helpful and wonderful that we managed to do that. So what does what was the conversation like with your husband then when you said to him, I feel God's telling me to quit my job and go full-time ministry, and especially if you are the breadwinner? I mean, how did that conversation go?
So I had been prepping my husband. I really did know back in January of 2020 that my time at my job was coming to an end. I still didn't know what I was going to do. So it was a conversation over the course of 2 years. So
Sure.
He might not have been prepared like, today is the day? So it wasn't a complete shock to him. He had been along the journey. It was a little abrupt, but truly, as we were praying together, he's like, okay, this is right. This is the right time. So,
how did you guys prepare? So for 2 years, you've kind of sensed what God was saying, which I think is an interesting time for preparation, isn't it? And seeing what God's saying there. So how did you guys prepare? I mean, both spiritually and practically, what were some of the things that you did?
It was even before 2 years, more than 2 years, that we really were financially making different decisions. We were not truly, for probably the first 15 years of our marriage, we didn't necessarily keep track of how our finances were. It's like, yeah, everything's fine. There was no worries. But when we decided to make strategic moves with our savings and not spending money on frivolous things, I really believe that the Lord was faithful with how we were spending our money. So we were set up for success that I wasn't going to have income. And so here we are a year and a half later that God's blessed us in full ways, and we still spend differently and live simply. And so it works.
It works. So part of your preparation then was obviously adjusting your finance. I mean, it sounds like you'd been doing that for a while before. So obviously there's a financial preparation. And that again seems very wise, Christa, because again, I know a bunch of people who just live at 100 miles an hour, feel like God's called them to a mission field. They live up to 100 miles an hour, even so God calls them today and it's 2 years before they go. And so those 2 years, they're still living at 100 miles an hour. They stop and they expect God to be able to just provide everything in an instant so they can carry on living at 100 miles an hour. And I find quite often sometimes it happens, but rarely, and it leads to more disappointment. So you financially, were prepared for that changing career. What other preparations did you make?
Well, I truly thought that I was going to take another job and be an international dietitian. That was something that I had desired to do. So in my head, I truly thought I was going to leave in January and I was going to move maybe internationally. Now, my husband kept saying, not right away. He wasn't all in with leaving fully, but so we were not thinking that we weren't thinking that I wasn't going to have like another job. I didn't know in January of last year that I was going to start my own ministry. I thought I was going to work for another company and that maybe I'd work in the United States and help with my nutrition information and work from afar until my husband retired. So therefore, it was the shock that, oh no, I'm not going to be leaving and doing this international nutrition. I'm actually going to ask God, what do you want me to do? And not, here's my desire. So that was the first time in my life that I laid down my plans and like, okay, what do you want for today, for this week, for this next month? And so that's when God started saying, I want you to write. And I thought, okay, I'll write my journal, maybe a blog. I had no idea that I was going to write a book because that was not any, I didn't know how to write. I didn't feel like I ever was going to be an author, but when God leads you to something, he's going to show you how to do it.
Mm-hmm. I find it fascinating because as you're talking, I'm reminded of the story of Abraham, where God says to Abraham, "Go," and Abraham's like, "He's all right," and he goes, but he doesn't know where he's going, and he doesn't know what's going to happen on the journey. He just knows he needs to go, and that, I think, is probably the most scary place to be sometimes, because you just don't know. And what I find fascinating here is that you then say, "God, what do you want me to do today? Let me just surrender all my plans to you." Did you find that, I'm imagining a mixture of both scary and freeing all at the same time?
It was, but I still did have this thought of, okay, God, I'm going to write this book. I'm going to get it done really fast because you've given me what you need me to write. And then I'm going to be an international dietitian, right? I'm a little slow. And truly, I had maybe about April of last year, I had applied for my dream job. It was a company that my whole family loved, a ministry. And I was in talks with them, and I did not have any peace. And I knew in that moment, giving up what my dream job was, of what I thought that I should do for God. Once I said no, I haven't looked for anything since. It's like, okay, I'm going to continue to seek what you want me to do today. And that it's not easy, but God is so faithful, and he keeps bringing these people in my path. It's like, okay, I'm making the right decisions. I'm following God's path, and I'm getting great confirmations from others.
That's powerful. That's powerful stuff. So now you have been in this ministry just over a year, if my maths is correct. Which
You're doing great.
Yeah. It's hard work, maths, isn't it? So you've been in it just over a year. How is sort of where you are now? It seems to be not where you anticipated you'd be this time last year, right?
Okay.
But so how is it all going a year into it? Where are you at sort of emotionally, spiritually? Where's life at for you right now?
I was just reflecting on that this morning. This week in particular has been kind of off the charts. Like, wow, God, this is so amazing. Today is my 1-year anniversary from actually being on social media. So it's kind of a little happy dance over here. But so I have written 2 books already. The second book hasn't been launched yet. I've started writing my 3rd book, and I'm going to be a podcaster, which launches next month. And
congratulations.
Yeah, all super scary stuff for me. As a very quiet introvert, I was actually fighting God, especially in the podcasting. Like, I'm not sure about this, God, because again, I'm so quiet. I just didn't feel like that was what I should be doing. But God kept prompting me, and like, you have a unique voice, Christa. You need to share, God's love to others in my unique way. So in this week, I had some wonderful articles that have been published in some magazines, which is just such a joy. And so it's just an exciting week. And then I get to be with you and speaking. So I'm thrilled.
Yeah, the pinnacle of your week, no doubt, being on the podcast. So the thing that I love here, Christa, as you're talking is, it seems like God has taken you, a sort of, I don't know if I'd use the word shy, but quiet, introverted lady, and said, right, now's the time to use your voice. And you're like, dude, what are you talking about? Because I that's what extroverts do. I don't have this voice. And God's going, no, I want you to start talking. And that phrase, the sort of the wisdom of this world is the foolishness to God, and vice versa, and all that sort of stuff. And I find it's quite remarkable, and I find it's quite lovely, actually, that here you are on a podcast. You're launching a podcast. You've written 2 books, almost on your 3rd, a self-proclaimed introvert. And I imagine you're doing the rounds, going onto various different people's podcasts, sort of stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Slightly concerned about the questions that are going to come up from crazy people like me.
Right. Okay.
But you're still doing it nonetheless, which I think is remarkable. So tell me about Whispers, Powerful Whispers, which was your first book. Tell us a little bit about the devotional.
Yes. So this devotional was really downloaded to me by the Lord, and He wanted me to share with those that are Christians or even seekers of like, who is God? But to share the fact that God loves you and He knows you. He chose you to be here in this earth at this time. And He wanted me to share just His peace and also this wonderful special whispers just to show each person how special they are to God.
Fantastic. And you seem to have got some quite good reviews on Amazon. I don't know if you check the reviews on Amazon.
Of course.
But yeah. They're all very, very good reviews written by people, which is nice.
It is so nice, and truly incredibly honored. I, not knowing anything about being an author and how hard it is. Like, I knew that God wanted me to do this, but actually, like, I have to go and promote this book, and be on podcasts and talk about it. That I didn't know that was part of the package deal. But yes, I'm so thankful that those that have read this devotional have been so impacted. And I love to get notes from people that reach out to me on social media and say that the message in there resonates with them. And my favorite comments have been from these people who are like, wow, thank you. Now I know Jesus on a whole new, special, kind of intimate level that I didn't know was possible before. And that just warms my heart. And that is my heart, really my heart's desire that people know God so much more than they have before.
Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful, isn't it? And I run the church, Crowd Church, and we put a lot of time and energy into the stuff that goes out. And we do it not because we get paid for it. In fact, none of us get paid for it, but that's a different story. But we do it because, like you, we want ourselves to find a deeper relationship with Christ. And we want others to sort of experience the joy and the wonderfulness of that. And I think if you're outside the church, that can be a little bit hard to understand. But once you have a revelation or an encounter with God, it is hard just to not do anything with that, right? You kind of like, well, no, this is Eden. This is the way it was meant to be. And so surely, and so when God gives you that call to go and share that with people, that actually becomes a reward in itself, isn't it? It's the fact that you get these stories of people who have connected with God from all over the world as a result of God working through you. And you're like, man, this is amazing.
Yeah, it is so amazing. And it's like little old quiet me here, God is using to impact people so greatly. And I am really honored that God chose me and thrilled that I listened to Him and stepped forward into this crazy yes.
That's fantastic. So, Christa, let me ask you a question I like to ask all my guests on the podcast. And that is, if you had only one opportunity to preach one sermon based on what God has taught you so far in life, you could only write one more book with one message, and that was it. What would it be?
God sees you, He knows you, and He loves you. He wants you to know Him today.
That's powerful. Why? So why that? Yeah, it's very short and simple. But why that message? Why has that resonated with you so much?
I have found so many people that don't know that God loves them and knows them and really sees them. They feel really unseen. And maybe they've had really tough struggles in this world. And they're like, why, God, you can't love me if I have these struggles. But Satan's in this world. He's the reason there's awful struggles, but God sees them and knows them and wants them to run towards him and find peace and comfort in him.
So would you say that this is something that you have understood yourself more deeply the last couple of years, or is this something that's resonated with you maybe your whole life?
More so the last few years. I knew that God loved me, but I didn't know to the extent that he loved me before, and how he understands all that I'm going through. I didn't spend time to sit and think about it. I just, again, was just, okay, I have my 5 minutes of devotional time, and that's not enough time to get to know God thinks about me. And so, yes, the last 3 years, it's been incredible. I'm usually sitting in this chair as I'm writing and listening to God, and usually crying. Like, wow, that's amazing, God. Just overwhelmed with his love, and it's so special. And I want others to know that they can feel his love and his peace too.
Wow, that's a great place to sort of bring that to. Tell me quickly, Christa, what's the next book that's due to come out?
The next one is very different. It's going to be focused on moms. It is a journal. It's a guided prayer journal to help moms be able to spend just 7 minutes a day and reading scriptures and journaling what they're hearing from God.
Yeah, fantastic. So what's that?
It's really hard when you have young ones.
Yeah, it is. I find a lot of the times it's seasons, isn't it? You go through seasons, and so life is a very different season when you have young kids. And you just have to remind yourself this is a season, and at some point things will change. My kids are now, 2 of my 3 kids are at university. And so life is in a very different place than it was when they were young. And I just had to keep reminding myself, you just need to get through it. Do what you can now, and see what happens, right? Christa, listen, if people want to find out more about you, find out more about the book, get a hold of the book, what's the best way for people to do that?
Yes, well, I would love to connect with everyone. One way is on my website, where you can sign up for my newsletter. I'm also on social media, so Instagram and Facebook. I'm on Twitter once in a while. So I'm at Christa Joy Ministries on all of those platforms. And if you go to my website, you can sign up to receive a free 5-day journal. I have 2, actually, a 5-day journal on having peace in the Lord, with the Lord, and joy in the Lord.
Oh, fantastic. And they're at ChristaJoyMinistries.com?
That's correct.
Very good. That was a good guess on my part. Yeah, that's fantastic. So you can get a hold of those free 5-day journals at ChristaJoyMinistries.com. You can obviously also connect with Christa via the website or via social media links. As she said, Christa Joy Ministries, wherever you get your social media links from, but just probably try Instagram. One of the things I remember from our earlier conversations, Christa, was that you said that you spent hours preparing for a 40-second Instagram live and then spent 3 hours crying afterwards. And this was a huge challenge for you. How's that going in the Instagram sphere?
So much better. I'm thrilled that I don't sit and cry for 3 hours after doing a little 40-second clip. I can now go, I don't usually do lives. I do little clips that are recorded, but I don't cry anymore. God's like, hey, I now know that God's given me this message. So God's given me confidence to say what is on his heart and mind. And so I do it more boldly every day.
Fantastic. Well, Christa, thank you so much for coming on to the What's the Story podcast. It's been great to just hear your story, and it's just lovely. And I'm so grateful for what God's doing in your life. Thank you for sending me your book, by the way, which I've enjoyed. It's been great. And I hope it goes well, with the second book, and that sees all the plaudits it should get. But keep going would be my encouragement. Keep putting one foot in front of the other and see what God does. But thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciated chatting with you today.
No problem. Thank you.
And just like that, we've reached the end of another fascinating conversation. Remember to check out Crowd Online Church at www.crowd.church. Don't forget to subscribe to What's the Story on your favorite podcast app. We've got a treasure trove of inspiring stories coming your way, and we'd hate for you to miss any of them. What's the Story is a production of Crowd Online Church. Our fantastic team, including Anna Kettle, Matt Edmondson, Tanya Hutzalak, and myself, Sadaf Bainan, work behind the scenes to bring these stories to life. Our theme song is a creative work of Josh Edmondson. If you're interested in the transcript or show notes, head over to our website, whatsthestorypodcast.com. And while you're there, sign up for our free newsletter to get all the goodness delivered straight to your inbox. That's all from us this week. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.